QuaLIS LIMS is a complete laboratory information management system platform. It gives a comprehensive and configurable platform for entire laboratory operations management. Let's talk about Agaram. Agaram is a 50 plus years old organization started with analytical instrumentations. It's been over 15 years. We are into software development and we are ISO certified for design development and support for laboratory informatics. The core products involves laboratory information management system, Logilab instrument interfacing solution with ELN capabilities, and scientific data management system. All these products are used very efficiently in laboratory management and making the processes very smooth. QuaLIS is a web-based platform. It is compatible with all technologies, like we can implement QuaLIS on Windows as well as Linux platforms. What it needs to run is just a web browser enabled with Adobe Acrobat Flash. Let us look at the overall solution platform, how it can be implemented for a successful implementation of complete laboratory automation. Logilab Scientific Data Management System can help archiving the important instrument files into a centralized location. Logilab ELN can pass the required data out of instrument files and send it back to LIMS. Laboratory Information Management System will have an overall management of laboratory operations like managing samples, result entry, job allocation, validating your results against specifications, and going through the approval life cycle. At the same time, Laboratory Information Management System should allow us managing the instruments, calibration and maintenance frequencies, all the inventories related to laboratory operations. LIMS can also be integrated with third-party applications like your SAP, other ERPs. This will allow us to have a complete system integrated with all the laboratory operations. QuaLIS LIMS is an enterprise scale LIMS with multi-site capabilities. Single deployment can be used for multi-site operations. The data will be properly segregated between the sites so that there is a complete separation of data within the site, though the implementation is on the single server. QuaLIS supports multiple languages. It's developed with the concept of multilingual support, and any additional languages can be easily added with the Excel imports. The technology used makes sure that your bandwidth is minimum used with no refresh technologies. Let us look at the overall QuaLIS LIMS application platform, which gives a complete idea about what all the operations supported within the QuaLIS platform. The first thing starts with the quality planning. What is our sample schedule? What are our sample needs? The testing plan. What all products we are analyzing, whether it is a raw material, finished product, intermediates. All that can be planned before we start with the application. Let us have a look at the application, how it looks like. We have a base master where we can segregate what we do within our laboratory. Here we can define our laboratory structure, which can be managed as departments, labs, sections within your laboratories. We have a supplier management system where we can have suppliers associated with our products and raw materials added. We have an approval for supplier, which ensures that we are using only the approved suppliers for the transaction usage. We are defining the entire products required within the laboratory operations for analysis are defined here. Products can be broadly categorized based on our needs. For example, we can categorize products as raw materials, finished products, intermediates. We could also categorize products based on their nature or the business needs. These are all configurable options, so we can configure the requirements as required and we can add all the products. Once the products are added, we can make sure that we have specifications defined based on each product line. So here we can define multi-level specifications. Each product could have more than one specification defined based on the need of the business, or probably it is based on the customer needs. Let's go back to the presentation. The next thing comes is making sure that you have a complete traceability of software. So QuaLIS will allow us using the barcode, making sure that we are tracing the sample using barcode technology and any mistakes in identification of the samples are avoided. Training records make sure that the competent users are used during the job allocation. Instrumentation module makes sure that you are using the instruments which are calibrated and maintained. Job allocation ensures that the responsible user based on the training matrix is allotted the job. Once the job allocation is completed, we move on to capturing the results. QuaLIS LIMS allows capturing the results either by manual entry or using ELN through instrument interfacing. Once the results are captured, during capture we make sure that the results are validated against specifications, and once the results are captured and completed by the analyst, we can have a configurable approval life cycle for the sample. At the end of approval life cycle, we can generate the certificate of analysis. This sample is approved by all the authorities. We use Jasper reports, making sure that end users can have their own capabilities of designing and remodifying the existing reports within the application. Let us have a look at the core modules and the available modules within QuaLIS LIMS. We have TestMaster to update all the methods conducted within the laboratory. Test group specifications allows us multi-level specifications for the same product. We have a complete sample management wherein we can make sure that different type of samples are registered and the entire life cycle is managed through the sample registration screen. Job scheduling allows us selecting the responsible user to conduct the analysis. Result entry can be either manual or can be based on Logilab ELN instrument interfacing solution. We have a approval lifecycle configurable module where we can define approvals, and approval can be either serial or parallel based on the choice of the users. Reporting is done through Jasper reports. Most of the reports are delivered out of the box, although end users are not restricted to use these same reports. They can go through their own report development and the reports can be added to the system. We also have some additional modules wherein we can have an instrument and equipment management where we can manage the instruments, we can monitor the calibration and maintenance of the instruments. Training and certification modules can be added to ensure that authorized and approved users are available for the job allocation. Material inventory management system provides a comprehensive inventory management for lab along with the date expiry dates as well as the minimum stock levels, ensuring that lab never runs out of the inventory. Document management system allows us to add additional layer of quality management within LIMS. You can have approved and certified documents distributed for the usage like SOPs, instrument instructions, and document management can also be used as a corporate module to manage all their documents. Let us look at the home page, how it looks like. We have a beautiful dashboard. The dashboard is configurable and we can add various elements which are required to monitor the day-to-day operations within our organization. On the right hand side we have message area where the end user will be given alerts about what all the pending activities are associated with him to be completed. It gives an easy link, making sure that users can remember what has to be done for the current day. Test masters allow us to add all the tests conducted within the organization. Various parameter types can be used when adding the tests like numeric values, text values, drop-down values wherein we can restrict user to select one of the available values from the drop-down. These are the various types available within LIMS. Most used are numeric, character and predefined, and along with that additional parameters like checklists and document attachments can be used as your results. Let us look at the specification management. What we have here is a multi-level specification management. So you can define a test group basically on a product. Once the product specification is defined, you can add various subgroups within the same product specifications and multiple profiles for the same product. This ensures that the same product can be analyzed against various specifications, ensuring that you have multi-level specifications to fulfill the need of various market needs or various customer demands. Here we have approved specification levels. Let us look at the application area. Once we have test groups created, we have approval button ensuring that only approved and authorized specifications are used by the end users. You have version control here. So when you have modifications, you make sure that you add a new version of specification, ensuring that the current specification version is used by the end user. Other versions are still kept in the history as they are associated with the older samples already analyzed using the other specifications. Let us look at the sample screens. Sample registration screen, although it is provided with various fields available, end users are not limited to use the fixed fields. We have a configurable sample registration screen wherein we can create our own choice of fields and add it to the submission forms. Let us have a look at the application here. We have something called as field creation. Here we can create a field and add it to the selected forms. While adding the field, we can define whether the field type is string, number, decimal, date or boolean. Based on the type of the data, we can select the appropriate data type and add it to the existing screens. When we select a data from the system to be added, we can also select whether the data is coming from the application existing tables or it is just the additional field required. Let us create one small field. Let us pick one of the available fields here. Select the type as string, and you can always say whether it is a required field or it is an optional field. Once you click on mandatory, it makes sure that the data is required during the data entry. If you are selecting no, then the field can be skipped during the data entry. If we select a type as combo box, we can have options like whether the value is coming from existing one of the master tables like our units, customers, suppliers, or you are going to provide a custom data to the field. Here we can say I need custom values like cust1 and cust2 as an example. So during the data entry, user will have option to choose between cust1 and cust2. Similarly, multiple fields can be added to each of the sample registration screen. Let us look at the sample registration process and the various timestamps involved during the sample lifecycle. Sample registration starts with pre-registration. During the pre-registration, we select the required fields based on the needs. We have to select the associated products based on which the test methods will be associated with the sample. Let us take an example of Amla capsules. Once the product is selected and all other mandatory fields are filled in, we can start associating with the test groups or the methods to be conducted on the sample. Here we can see that various multiple level specifications can be seen as drop down. We will go with the default specifications and we will select the section in which the lab has to be conducted. We will select diethyl phthalate content as one of our tests required and submit the sample. We will generate the sample. Now the sample is pre-registered, so the first timestamp is added to the application as sample is pre-registered. Once we are sure that sample has to be conducted within the laboratory, we are creating another timestamp as generate AR number. This has given us the reference number for the sample and added another timestamp. This reference number will be used throughout the life cycle of this particular sample. Now we indicate that sample is available and we are ensuring that sample is registered into the system for the further process. The next step in the sample life cycle will be who will take the responsibility of the sample. As a lab manager or lab supervisor, I can go with the sample work assignment. To track the sample better with electronic labels, we can generate sample labels. We can print them and stick onto the sample so that we can track the samples hereafter using the barcode, ensuring that appropriate sample is selected in the life cycle of the sample. Let us have a look at the worker association here. In the job allocation, the first thing is ensuring that as a lab supervisor, the sample is received on the lab desk. By clicking the received in lab, we are making another timestamp saying that the sample is received on the laboratory desk, and we can go on and select what instrument will be used for this particular sample or this particular method. We can also identify the exact instrument to be used, although we can change it later during the course of actual working. We can give the tentative time at which we are going to start the analysis. We can also indicate it could take 20 minutes to complete the sample. By clicking the check button, we ensure that the sample is not overwritten for the same instrument. Here we are getting a message that the instrument is fine to be used as it is not allocated with any other sample, so we can proceed with it. Similarly, we can select the specific user associated with the sample. So we can select our analyst. I will use a chemical analyst as the user who will conduct the analysis for this particular sample. I can always say he would take 25 minutes of time to complete it and click on check to make sure that he is available for the usage. We can always click on analyst schedule to see what all his engagements are for a specific date or time frame or a calendar and ensure that he is available for this particular activity. Once we are happy with that, we can say submit and the sample becomes the user's association. The sample should be visible to the user for result entry as the next phase of the sample life cycle. Let us log in as a chemical analyst user and see what he sees on his screen. We can see that his screen displays a dashboard which is quite different from the administrator dashboard. We can see just one entry available here indicating that he is responsible to conduct one particular analysis today. Let us look at the result entry screen. We click on the result entry screen and we can see that the associated sample is available here for the result entry. The end user can also go to my jobs and see what is available for him to be completed. Here we have date selection so that he can go back and also check the pending activities for, let's say, 1 week, 1 month, and he can see what is allocated for him to be completed. We can also print labels at this stage if the label was not supplied initially. The end user can also view the specifications associated with this particular sample. He can also generate the test data sheet for his rough work. Let us go back to result entry screen and see what has to be done here. Here we can straight away enter the results. If it is a manual data entry, we could also capture the results through instrument interface and send the results back to LIMS. Here the user can start entering the results. You can see the mark at the pass flag. It says pass. If the results are out of specification, this will be indicated as fail with a red color. Once he is happy with the results, he can say save my results. If he is done with his work, he can always say complete results. And this will become another timestamp in the life cycle of sample that results are completed by the analyst. This sample will be sent to the next user for approval life cycle. Let us log in as the approval user to see what he has to do. We will log in as a user who has authority to approve this sample. In his screen, he will have a tab for approval. Let us click on the approval sign and he will see the sample with the provided results for the approval. If the end user, the analyst, has entered the details of material he has used, they will be available in the consecutive steps here. Under the material, he could see the materials used during the analysis, the instrument used during the analysis. Task tab is provided for any additional tasks conducted during the analysis like purging of sample, filtration of sample. This allows us to record additional activities conducted during the analysis. If the results are fine for the supervisor, he can say the results are checked, everything is fine. There are other options like recommended retest, recommended calculations. This can be used if the results are not satisfactory. The supervisor can always recommend retest or recalculation of the results. If everything looks fine, the supervisor can say checked results. Here we have electronic signature. The supervisor has to give his password, select the status as checked, give his comment and approve the results. Once the results are approved, the status changes to checked and the sample goes to the next level of approval. Let us log in as the user who is responsible to take the sample to the next level of approval. Under the next user's approval screen, he will see the sample with the provided results and also the comments provided by the previous checker. The previous approver has said the results are okay. If he is fine with the results, he can say the results are fine. He can say I am reviewing the results. He will give his user ID and password and say the results are verified by me. And the results are sent to the next level. The status will be changed as verified. Even the history shows the previous comments and the status changes to reviewed. The results are sent to the next level of approval. Let us go and check into the next level of approval. We have QC manager as the next level of approval. These are all configurable levels and users can always configure the way the sample approval lifecycle goes in their organization. Now we can say that results are fine. I'm going to verify as a QC manager. I'm going to approve the results. Okay. So we have added another timestamp and the next level of approval is also completed in a sequence. Now we can log in to the user who is finally releasing the results for certificate of analysis. At this stage, we are expecting that the results are finally approved and released to the respective entity like your customers, your internal customers, and we are saying that we are approving the results for the final disposal. Here we are saying the results are approved and we are releasing the results. At this stage, we can generate a certificate of analysis. Here we have choice to eliminate any of the unwanted results, or we can always say select all and generate the reports. Once the sample is approved by all authorities mentioned in the workflow, the reports can be generated for the samples. Let us have a look at the sample report here. We'll select one of the type which is completed for the sample. It displays us all the samples which are already completed and ready for the report. We'll select one of the sample and click on generate report. We have the reports. These reports can be configured based on the customer needs. New reports can be added to the system using the report designer. We have certain options when we are ready with the report, like save the report to PDF format or any electronic format which can be shipped to the customer, internal or external, or we can send a printout on the paper. Once we are done with the report, we can send the report to the intended customer and the sample life cycle at this stage is completed. Let us look at some of the other modules available in the system. Let us have a look at the instrument manager here. Let us click on the add instrument. We can have instruments categorized as instrument, equipment or measuring device. Let us add an instrument here. Let us consider we have an instrument HPLC. To identify it as a unique instrument, we will call it as HPLC 001. We can select if there is any specific supplier for this instrument. We can give the model number of the instrument and we can also give the manufacturer. We can give more details like if we are maintaining a specific serial number to identify the instruments. We can give serial numbers of the instruments. Purchase date, receive date and installation date can be added. Here we are assigning the specific laboratory in which the instrument is managed. We have certain other information for the instrument available here, like first time validation of instrument can be added with the date of instrument validation, the due date on which the next validation has to be completed. We can of course upload the validation documents which are generated during the validation or provided by the instrument vendor, and we can save this record. Similarly, we can add instrument calibration and instrument maintenance conducted. We have a frequency tab here where we can add instrument frequencies of calibration. Let us consider we want to add a calibration frequency which is reoccurring every month. So we can say it's a monthly activity. Once we select the monthly calibration schedule, it will ask us whether it happens on every first day of the month or any specific day of the month. We can always say that every first Monday of the month we need to calibrate this particular instrument, and we can submit the record. Once this is added, and if the instrument calibration needs a specific analysis to be conducted to validate the calibration, we can always add associated method to be conducted with the analysis. Once this is done, it will ensure that the instrument calibration is reminded on the desktop in the dashboard for user to conduct the calibration. We can go to the home page and see here the pending calibration notifications. Once the instrument calibrated is completed for the sample and the sample is authorized, the instrument is marked as calibrated and the instrument calibrated next calibration due date is associated to the instrument. We have a window frame here, window period. We can define as 3 days is window period and plus minus 2 days is the grace. This ensures that the instrument can be used for next 2 days until it is calibrated, and after this date the instrument becomes invalid for the usage. The instrument will be blocked from the usage until it is recalibrated. Let us have look at the material and inventory management system here. We can add all the materials available or to be used within the organization. Materials can be categorized based on the needs like glassware, reagents, standards. Various categories can be added. If the material has to be stored at specific temperature conditions, the storage conditions can be associated with it. We have something called as reorder label. By mentioning the reorder label, we ensure that once we start consuming the reagent, Once we reach the minimum order level, it reminds the user to order the new material as it has reached the minimum level as a stock. Expiries can be defined as months or weeks based on the expiry of the material. This ensures that once you add the material to the system, it will remind us the expiry of the material during the transactions, ensuring that we are not using any material which has already expired. Material transactions can be maintained along with the safety instructions, like whether the material is flammable, whether there is a clothing or gloves required during the handling of the materials. Certain chemicals can be maintained with the structural formulas associated with it for the information. At the same time, we can add physical properties like boiling point, melting point, which can be used by the end users for the information. All the transactions are displayed here for the consumptions whenever the material is used from the inventory. Let us look at the categories here. How do we add categories? It's a straightforward, simple procedure. We can say material is a glassware. Quarantine required and yes or no indicates that once the material is purchased or added to the system, whether it needs quarantine before it is taken into the usage. If we quarantine required intimated as yes, the sample will be material will be quarantined, and we have to conduct a specific analysis, and once the analysis is completed and approved, the material is available for the transaction usage. If the quarantine is set to be no, in that case the material is available as soon as it is added to the inventory. There are various other modules which are available in the system, like document management system, training management system. We'll quickly cover through the training management system here. We can categorize our trainings based on the instrument, based on the SOPs, and we can start adding the instrument or trainings available with the SOPs. Let us say we are having a general training here, the associated technique, the topic, when we are going to conduct this particular training, the training date, the trainer's name, the venue where we are going to conduct the training, and we can give the reason for the training. Once the training record is added, we can add the participants expected to attend this particular training, and we can send the invitations. Once the send invitation button is clicked, the invitation by email is sent to the user. It can be also available on the desktop dashboard of the user. We can always reschedule the training if the training we are not going to conduct the training on the same date, or we can say the training is conducted on the specific date. Once the training is completed, it appears into the details screen where we can mark who all attended the training, who was certified for the specific training, and who was competent enough to the specified training. Once the competent is marked, this particular user will be available in the job allocation screen. QuaLIS LIMS supports FTA regulations, CFR compliance, and regulatory requirements like ISO 17025. QuaLIS has an integrated platform all-in-one. To give certain examples, we have calibration and maintenance instrument module, which ensures that all the instruments used within laboratory are calibrated and maintained as per the calendar schedules. We have a training module and training records ensuring that association of any user to the job is validated against the training and competence for a specific technique. Electronic signatures provide CFR compliance, and they make sure that authorized users are performing all the activities based on their roles and privileges provided by the admin user. Chain of custody is made easy and traceability is kept at high using barcode scanning. All the raw data generated by instrument is associated with the sample results to ensure that complete traceability, including the raw data generated during the analysis, is traceable to the auditors. Software provides complete audit trails, searchable and reportable, ensuring that your audits are supported with valid data for all the activities performed within your laboratories. Approval and release of samples within QuaLIS LIMS is highly configurable. Based on the type of products, we can schedule the type of review and approval required based on the roles. This can be configured per requirement. That is, for raw material we may have 3 levels of approval, for finished product we may have 5 levels of approval. These kind of configurations can be placed so that respective type of sample can be analyzed and reviewed before it is released to the end users as a result. All approvals are marked with electronic signature to support the CFR compliance. So each user who is going to the level of approval and releasing the results has to provide the specific user ID password and give the comments for approvals. Based on that, the electronic signature will be inserted and the sample will be released. During result entry and review, all the reagents, standards and chemicals used during the analysis can be captured, ensuring that full traceability of every element used during analysis is captured in the flow. QuaLIS LIMS provides strong reporting media using Jasper reports. Basic reports are deployed during the QuaLIS implementation, though Jasper reports can be designed and added to the application as per the requirements generated by the end user. There is no limitation on using the number of reports within the application, and it provides a good user interface to add any new result to this report to the system. This is one of the examples where we are seeing a certificate of analysis with the specifications. We also have good summary reports using the cross-tab report mechanism from the Jasper reports, where you can summarize all your laboratory data for monthly or weekly purpose. You could do a trending with standard deviation and average displayed on the graph. Such reports can be added to the system by the end users as well. This is one of the customer example where we are showing the final certificate of analysis produced using mix and match of results and the custom data required in a document format. Data from the system can be exported to the third-party tool like Excel using special queries. Queries can be stored into the application so that they can be reused for easy access of new data. This data can be easily exported in a CSV format and can be used in Excel to further analyze the data as required. Easy and quick dashboard ensures that once the user is logged into the system, there is a quick information available for all the end users to ensure they know what is actively present on their desk. Trend reports can be generated to quick glance all the happenings and the quality of the products. Alerts can be sent by email apart from displaying them on the individual dashboards. Emails templates can be configured and set so that automatic emails are pushed as and when there is a trigger or a specific event completed within LIMS system. Instrument management ensures that all the instruments are maintained and calibrated, and only calibrated instruments are available for the end users usage. Material and inventory ensures that all the material used within laboratory is within the specific uh, expiries and no expired material is used. Reports to discard the expired materials are made easily available so that the responsible user can remove the material which has already expired. Basic requirement or quantity, minimum level quantity can be defined within the system, ensuring that when consumption is recorded, the users are alerted for any material which has reached the reorder level by either email or by a dashboard alerts. Document management ensures that you maintain all the documents required for the laboratory purpose, like your SOPs, procedures, instrument instructions, everything in a controlled environment with a proper approval, and only the approved and final version is made available to the end user's reference. This is a typical dash workflow for document management, wherein we are uploading a document or probably creating the document within the system by mixing the data from the LIMS other modules. We will go through the reviewer of document. This is a configurable review process again, where we can define various levels of approvals. Levels of approval can be either defined as a serial approval or parallel approval based on the requirements. Once the approval is completed, the final version in a PDF format can be released to the end user so that it can be only read by the user and no other activities can be performed on that particular document. Revision control ensures that on timely manner you are revising your documents and updating the required changes as and when the time comes for the revision. Training matrix ensures that you are planning your training, executing them, and once the competent is marked, only the competent users are being allowed to use during the job allocation. This is how a LIMS provides a comprehensive laboratory information management system covering your laboratory workflow needs, your instrument interfacing, automation of instruments. You can add up STMS to make sure that all the instrument data is archived properly and centralized. It is easily accessible, and added QMS modules like document management, training management will make sure that you are always compliant with all the quality needs of your laboratory.